In today's session of Visual JForex, we are going to get familiar with the indicator named LRSI, that is Laguerre Relative Strength Index. This is one of the modified RSI indicator which was developed by John Eller to cancel out the noise in RSI indicator. This is part of the momentum oscillator indicators, and in today's session we will see LRSI, and then in remaining days of this week we will be considering the PPO, then RSI, standard deviation, and on Friday it will be the turn of the TRIX tricks. So let's head to the Visual JForex board developed by the Dukascopy Bank SA. Here we have the indicator blocks, and for today's session I am taking this indicator block of Laguerre Relative Strength Index. Now coming to the its functioning, why this indicator was developed. We when use the RSI, we see that as and when the price momentum shifts, and if there are too many price moves, the frequent price moves, and there is no clear trend, the momentum is essentially choppy. In such scenarios, the RSI indicator can generate too many trades without making any sizable moves. To cancel out that noise, this LRSI indicator was developed, and this basically tries to provide the more weightage to the less frequent price moves, and the less weight to the more frequent price moves. And because of that, only when there is significant move, we get to see the change in momentum happening in the LRSI. And if you consider the price moment when the trades need to happen, the essential difference is not that much. The basic premise is almost the same. Whenever we see the LRSI value shooting above the 20 level, we go for the buy trade, and vice versa for the sell trade. Whenever the value drops below 80, we go for the sell trade. This indicator is bound between the 0 to 100 values, and whenever the LRSI value is on the rise, it means the momentum is on the buy side, and it's time we look for the buy trades. And if the momentum is declining, if the LRSI values are declining, then we look for the sell trades. Other way you can trade using this indicator is when the value of the LRSI stays flat above the 80 level. In such scenarios, you can make out the conclusion that the price action, the momentum is fairly strong and it's in the favor of the bulls, and it's a good time to keep continuing in the buy trade, or even to add the new positions on the buy side. And for the sell side, if the value remains below 20, that is considered extremely bearish, and the momentum is strongly inclined on the sell side. And in such scenarios, continuing and extending the sell side position is advisable. So you can play it both ways. It basically gives you an idea of the strength of the trend, and we can profit from this understanding of this LRSI. So let us see how we can configure this indicator block to our advantage. We have to choose the default instrument on which we are going to work. We are going to develop the automated algorithmic setup. In today's session, we will change the default instrument to USD JPY. You can choose the the instrument of your choice, which are supported here. So we have the list, and from this list you can choose the instrument as per your requirement, as per your wish. We have to search, and now I am finding it difficult to get to the USD JPY. Okay, we will try one more time. It's surprising that USD JPY, where it is. Okay, my mistake. I missed it earlier. Now, for defining the other parameters, we have to define four parameters in all. First is the default instrument, then comes the candle period. The candle period is the amount of time which we will be taking into consideration while calculating this indicator. And let me show you the different possibilities, the configurations which can be tried. So one thing we have to see what is the applied price which we are going to use for calculation of the LRSI. In indicator block you have this option in the lower half. So here you have to see which applied price you want to work with, and then depending on that value you will have the different LRSI values. If we use closing value, the value will be different if we were to use the high price. So let us change it to high price, and of course you must be aware that the bid side and the ask side there is spread, and because of that there will be minor difference between the values of the LRSI. Now we change the applied price to high price, and you can observe sudden deviation between the prior values and the current values. Okay, we keep it at high price. Then comes the damping factor, the coefficient which needs to be defined. Before that, the time period issue. The time period for candlesticks needs to be defined basically on the our assessment of what is the criterion, whether we are trading in the long term scenario or whether we are trading for the short term. And depending on what is your time horizon, if you are looking for intraday scalping kind of opportunities, it is better to go with the shorter time frame horizons like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or even half an hourly, or you can even consider hourly, well suited for the trading in the intraday scenario. If you want to trade for the bigger moves, swing trading, then in that scenario, it's better to use the larger time frames like 4 hourly or hourly. Here, the chart is now been made of 30 minutes candlesticks of USD JPY, and as you can see here we had the climb on the upside, and then eventually this price dropped, and after this consolidation again the momentum picked up, and then we saw again drop in momentum and regaining of momentum, again the dip here, but soon enough the USD JPY has got back to its ways, and it is continuing to move on the higher side. So that's how you have to see what is the time frame for the candlestick which is going to serve your purpose. If you feel that you can make money on the lower time frame, then you should build a system using the lower time frame, and then test it for good enough time so that you get the idea of how efficient the system is. If you want to work with the 10 minutes, that's also possible. All you have to do is go in for the trading opportunities as and when this indicator points to the emerging opportunities. Now here you could have gone for a buy trade, and here you could have gone for a sell trade, but as I said, the price moves are going to be lot shorter in the shorter time frame horizon, and if we go for the larger time frame horizon, like say for example the 4 hourly, then you will get the bigger moves, and these opportunities will only arise once in a while, so you won't have these you will not have the trades after every few hours in a day. Rather you might get couple of trades in a week. So that's how this system works, and it's uh, it's our personal choice. And I think before we make our own choice, we should test it. We should test the system of the developed algorithm and see what is the optimum time horizon for the candlestick which we can use. For example, in today's session we will make it 15 minutes, and then see how this indicator reacts on the 15-minute charts of USD JPY. So here we are looking at the USD JPY 15 minutes chart. We had this dip, and then again the uh, here the spike. You can say it was basically the retracement, and then in the next attempt it was fairly sustained, and we saw the move on the higher side, again the dip here, and the continuation of the upward momentum later on. So once in a while we see that when there is no large move also, still even these scenarios, the LRSI values have dropped and gone below the 20 level, which is indicative of the bearishness, and then again bounced back and have gone up to again regain these values close to 100. So that gives you an idea of how the system works on different time horizons. Shift is the look back period if you want to take into account the current value. Then the shift is needs to be kept at 0 if you want to take into account the prior values. Then you need to go back in time by that many candlesticks, and accordingly you have to define this shift variable. For example, if we were to look back in time by say 2 hours, then we will need to go back 8 candlesticks of 15 minutes each, and that means we will have to write 8 here. We have to select 8 here, and then we will get the output value of the LRSI on the 15 minutes candlesticks of USD JPY 8 candlesticks back, that is 2 hours back. This is the coefficient which is used to change the RSI to LRSI, and this is basically the weightage. Here you can change this factor also according to your need, according to how it suits your trading setup. If we want to change it, all we have to do is go into the edit option and see what is the appropriate coefficient factor. It can't be above 0.85. So here if we make it for example 0.7, you will have the different value. If we make it 8, again there is a change. Depending on how you define this coefficient factor, you will have the different output for LRSI. The plotting of the LRSI will be a lot different. If we reduce this damping factor to say for example 0.2, minimum is 0.5, so we can't go that down, we can only go till 0.5. Now I have made it 0.55. So here it is. This is how it looks when you are working on the USD JPY 15 minutes chart with the LRSI being defined with the coefficient value of 0.55. So there is no single setup which is going to be the short method to make money. The whole point here is that you have to try out different combinations, and maybe one of that combination might click, and you won't know it unless you test it for long enough time on the JForex. So all you have to do is define these parameters, and then after you develop the algorithmic setup, all you have to do is test it, and there you will get to know whether the given setup has been profitable earlier or not, and it will be giving you a good idea of how efficient the system is, how efficient the trading setup which you have developed using the LRSI is going to be. So that's it from my side for today's session. If any of you have any query or any idea to share, you can write it in the comment section and I would be more than happy to take the discussion forward. Have a fabulous day ahead. Goodbye.